There are moments when silence becomes worse than any word, and presence a heavy burden. There are times when leaving is not an escape, but an act of ultimate liberation. You are not a servant of circumstances, not a shadow, and not a slave to others' expectations. It is time to come to yourself and recognize when everything has already been decided, and there is no further path. This video is based on the philosophy of Nietzsche and will be interesting and useful to those who live in search of meaning or wish to confront the very essence of thought. Well then, let's begin. They have deceived you. They have taught you that patience is virtue, that endurance is strength, that if you give enough of yourself, your time, your love, your devotion, eventually you will be seen, acknowledged, valued. But this is the most insidious lie of all. The world does not reward quiet sacrifice. It devours it. You stay, hoping that your presence will one day command gratitude. You lower your voice, making space for those who speak over you. You bend, you yield, you endure, believing that love, respect, and appreciation are things that can be earned through suffering. And yet, the longer you stay, the more invisible you become. Recognition given out of habit is not recognition at all. It is neglect dressed as familiarity. If they do not see you now, they never will. If they do not value your presence, let them feel your absence. Do not seek to be understood where understanding is a currency they refuse to spend. Do not remain where you must beg to be noticed. Do not wear your own erosion like a badge of honor. The moment they begin to take you for granted, you have but one duty: to leave. To disappear like a storm withdrawing its thunder, like fire retreating into the darkness. And when they finally turn to search for you, let them find only the echo of all that they have lost. Indifference is exile. There is no cruelty more refined than silence. No sharper knife than being unseen. The absence of a blow, the lack of words, the void where acknowledgement should be, this is how the world erases those it no longer deems necessary. You have felt it. The slow descent into irrelevance. The unanswered messages. The glances that pass through you as if you were air. The way your voice, once welcomed, now dissolves into nothing. You stand among them, yet you are already a ghost, a presence tolerated but no longer recognized. And still you stay, clinging to the hope that one day they will turn, their eyes will focus, and they will say, "There you are. We have missed you." But this moment never comes. Indifference is not a mistake, nor is it a phase. It is a sentence handed down in silence, an unspoken decree that you no longer matter. To be ignored is to be exiled from a place where your existence once had meaning. And exile is not a punishment, it is a verdict. A declaration that you have already been cast out, whether you choose to accept it or not. So why remain? Why linger in a place where you have been erased? There is a threshold between presence and absence, and once crossed, there is no return. Do not waste your time pounding on doors that have already closed. Do not beg for attention that must be fought for. Walk away, not in anger, not in sorrow, but with the quiet certainty of one who knows their worth. And when they finally notice the empty space where you once stood, let them wonder how they ever allowed themselves to lose you. When conversations become monologues, there is a moment when you realize that you are no longer speaking with someone, but at them. A moment when the dialogue that once flowed like a river turns into a stagnant pool, where only one voice echoes while the other merely endures. And then an even darker moment, the one in which you understand that your words are not unheard by accident, but by design. To speak and not be heard is humiliation disguised as patience. It is a slow, merciless erosion of the self. You reach out, you offer thoughts, feelings, pieces of your very being, and in return, you are met with vacant stares, distracted nods, or worse, nothing at all. The silence that follows is not the silence of contemplation, but of dismissal. You could just as well be speaking to the wind. But the most dangerous lie you tell yourself is that you simply need to try harder. That if you explain yourself better, choose the right words, soften your voice, make yourself more palatable, then finally, you will be understood. Yet the truth is far simpler, far more brutal. If they wanted to hear you, they already would have. Do not exhaust yourself translating your soul into a language that someone refuses to learn. Do not waste your breath filling the air with words that were never meant to land. The weight of one-sided conversation is the weight of futility itself. Silence is not always an absence of words. Sometimes it is a verdict. When your voice becomes background noise, when your presence is tolerated rather than valued, you are no longer in a conversation, you are in exile. And the only way to reclaim your dignity is to stop speaking into the void. Turn away and let them speak to themselves. Let them hear for the first time the sound of their own emptiness. When your energy drains away, not all thieves come in the night. Some arrive with a smile, with familiar voices, with warm hands that rest on your shoulder as they take from you what you do not even realize is being stolen. They do not need to raise their voices or break down your doors. No, their method is far more insidious. They feed on you in plain sight. You feel it afterward, in the exhaustion that lingers long after they have left, in the weight pressing down on your chest, in the dull ache behind your eyes, in the quiet whisper of a thought you tried to ignore. Why do I feel worse after being with them? You brush it off at first. You tell yourself that you are simply tired, that the day was long, that maybe you are just imagining things. But this is no ordinary fatigue. It is not the exhaustion of effort well spent, of deep conversation, of emotions freely given and received. This is something else, something darker. This is the depletion that comes from being around those who take without giving, those who demand without gratitude, who drain you not because they need you, but because they can. You speak, but your words fall into a void. You listen, but no one listens in return. You give, but there is no balance, only an ever-widening gap between what you offer and what you receive. And yet you stay, because leaving feels like abandonment, because you have convinced yourself that endurance is a virtue, that relationships are meant to be hard, that love or friendship or loyalty means sacrificing yourself over and over again. But let me tell you this, there is no honor in becoming hollow for the sake of others. No nobility in allowing yourself to be emptied just so someone else can feel full. If you leave each interaction with less of yourself, if you walk away feeling like a shell of who you were before, then you are paying too high a price. And those who truly value you, who truly deserve a place in your life, will never ask you to sacrifice your own light just to keep their darkness at bay. Step away. Let them find another source to feed on. And watch, as in your absence, they reveal what they truly are. You are not a resource. There is a quiet tragedy in giving too much. Not the grand cinematic kind of sacrifice, not the noble suffering of heroes, but the slow, unnoticed erosion of self. The kind that happens in broad daylight, in the name of kindness, loyalty, love. It begins so simply. A favor here, a compromise there. You tell yourself it is nothing, that this is what relationships require, that generosity is a virtue, and perhaps it is. But there is a line thin, almost invisible, between generosity and servitude. And once you cross it, there is no return. You do not notice when it happens. At first they ask, then they expect, then they demand. And by the time you realize that the balance has shifted, you are no longer a person to them. You are a function, a means to an end. You are the shoulder they cry on, the hand that lifts them up, the endless well they drink from. And yet, when you turn to them in your own moment of need, what do you find? An empty space where they once stood. A silence that answers every question. Because this is the nature of those who take. They do not remember kindness. They do not carry gratitude in their hearts. To them, the giver is not a person, but a resource, something to be used, depleted, discarded. And still you stay. Because leaving feels wrong. Because you believe that giving is what makes you valuable. Because deep down, you're still waiting for them to recognize all that you have done, to finally look at you and say, I see you. I appreciate you. But let me tell you this, that moment will never come. They will never wake up one day and realize your worth. They will only realize your absence, when the favors stop, when the help is no longer there, when they are forced to stand on their own. Only then, perhaps, will they understand. But by then, it will not matter. Do not be the fire that warms everyone but burns itself to ash. Do not exhaust yourself hoping to be seen by those who only see what you can do for them. Walk away and let them learn the hard way what it means to lose the one who gave them everything. When fear is stronger than hope, there is no prison more suffocating than the one built by your own mind. No chains heavier than those forged from fear. You tell yourself that you stay because it is the right thing to do, because it is familiar, because to walk away would be reckless, irresponsible, a mistake. But the truth is far simpler. You stay because you are afraid. Afraid of the unknown. Afraid of the silence that follows a slammed door. Afraid that beyond this small, miserable certainty, there is nothing but a vast and merciless void. You have convinced yourself that staying is a choice, but deep down you know, it is not you who holds on, but fear that holds you. Hope has already left the room. There is no dream of a better future here, only the slow, quiet decay of a soul that once longed for more but now settles for less. The moment you begin making decisions based on fear rather than possibility, you have already lost. Because fear does not lead, it traps. It wraps itself around your thoughts, filling your mind with whispers of doubt. What if it's worse out there? What if I fail? What if I never find anything better? But ask yourself this: what if you stay and nothing ever changes? What if years pass and you are still here, still shrinking, still hoping for a miracle that will never come? The pain of the unknown is temporary, but the pain of a life unlived is eternal. There is a cost to leaving, yes. The cold air of uncertainty will bite at your skin. The darkness of unfamiliar roads will test your resolve. But beyond that darkness, there is something fear will never show you: freedom. The chance to rebuild, to rediscover, to prove to yourself that you are more than a prisoner of your own hesitation. If you remain where you are only because fear has chained you, then you are not living. You are merely waiting to disappear. And that, above all, is the greatest loss of all. When expectations shatter, there is no betrayal more bitter than the betrayal of reality. You stepped forward, drawn by a promise, whispered by fate, by hope, by your own naive belief that this time, things would be different. You built castles in your mind, traced the outlines of a future that never existed, and walked toward it with open hands, ready to claim what you thought was meant for you. And then, nothing. The walls crumble. The colors fade. The golden dream dissolves into dust, revealing the cold, barren truth beneath it. What you sought was never real. What you sacrificed for was never there. You stare at the ruins of your expectations, your mind scrambling for answers. Was it a lie? A cruel joke? A failure of the world, or of yourself? But the most dangerous moment is not the collapse itself. It is what comes after. The temptation to stay, to sift through the wreckage, to convince yourself that maybe, just maybe, you can still salvage something. That if you wait long enough, try hard enough, pretend enough, you can force the illusion back into existence. This is the greatest trap of all. To hold on to what has already dissolved is to sentence yourself to endless grief. The dream is dead. The promise was an echo, and no amount of effort will make it real. So walk away. Not in anger, not in sorrow, but in defiance. Let go of the illusion before it drags you into its grave. There is no tragedy in being deceived, only in refusing to wake up. Regret nothing. Mourn nothing. What was never real was never yours to lose. When you are made to doubt yourself, there is a subtle, poisonous art to manipulation. It is not loud. It is not brash. It does not demand attention. No, manipulation is the silent whisper that crawls into your mind, planting seeds of uncertainty where certainty once stood firm. It is the sly question that makes you question your own judgment, the comment that turns your confidence into hesitation, the glance that makes you wonder if you are as strong as you thought. Manipulators thrive on this. They bathe in the murky waters of your doubt, knowing that if they can make you question yourself, they can control you. They need your hesitation, your self-doubt, your willingness to seek validation outside of yourself. And as long as you remain uncertain, you are theirs to bend, to mold, to exploit. They play on your insecurities, feeding them, nurturing them, until they grow into monsters in your mind. Every decision becomes a struggle. Every thought is tainted by their influence. You second-guess, you doubt. You begin to wonder if the fault lies within you. But let me tell you this. The moment you begin to doubt your own truth is the moment you surrender your power. And that is exactly what they want. They want you to lose yourself. They want you to become small, to shrink, to bend under their weight. Because when you lose sight of who you are, you no longer have the strength to stand against them. But your weapon, your ultimate defense, is not found in explanations, in pleading for understanding, or in attempting to win their approval. It is in leaving. The greatest strength you possess in the face of manipulation is the ability to walk away. The moment you walk away from those who make you question your worth, from those who strip you of your certainty, you regain your power. You are not weak for leaving. You are strong because you recognize the manipulation and refuse to remain in a place that dims your light. Do not fight them. Do not engage in the twisted game they play. Leave. And in that act of walking away, you take back everything they sought to take from you. Your confidence, your strength, your sense of self, these are yours, and no one has the right to make you doubt them. When lies become the norm, there is a moment when the very air you breathe begins to feel polluted. When truth, once a clear and steady flame, flickers and dies under the weight of deceit. Lies, no longer whispered in shadows, begin to surface as the currency of the world you once knew. Every word spoken is tinted with falseness, every promise wrapped in the skin of a lie. And you, once a believer, once someone who trusted in the power of honesty, are left standing, your mind clouded with doubt, your soul weary from the strain of trying to discern truth from fiction. How long can one live like this? How long can you endure in a world where every word is a veil, every action a mask? When you can no longer trust the sincerity of a smile, the honesty of a handshake, the integrity of a promise, what remains? You begin to realize that the very foundation upon which you built your trust is cracked beyond repair. And in that moment, you must make a choice. To stay is to live in a constant state of deception, to swallow the poison of dishonesty every single day, to accept that what you see is never what is. You lose yourself piece by piece. Your sense of self-worth erodes. You begin to doubt not only others but yourself. But there is a power in walking away. There is strength in seeing the lies for what they are and choosing not to be part of the charade. You are not weak for leaving. You are not a coward for refusing to stay in a place that breeds deceit. You are a person who values truth above comfort, reality above illusion. Do not make the mistake of thinking that you can change what has already become corrupt. Do not waste your energy trying to reason with those who have already chosen to lie as a way of life. The moment lies become the norm, it is not just the words you hear that are false, it is the very air you breathe. So shut the door. Walk away, and do not look back. Because when you no longer believe in the words spoken to you, there is nothing left but to silence the lies with your absence. And in that silence, you will find your freedom. When dreams become a shame, there is nothing more dangerous than the poison of mockery that infects your soul. It is a subtle weapon, but a deadly one. One that slithers into your thoughts, distorting your ambitions, twisting your desires into something grotesque, something laughable. The world, with its narrow vision and limited understanding, looks at the fires burning within you and laughs. It mocks the audacity of your dreams, the boldness of your vision. Why reach for the stars? They ask. What makes you think you're worthy? But let me tell you this. The dreams that others ridicule are often the very ones that will change the world. The ambitions that others see as absurd are the ones that will shape your future, the ones that will fuel your rise beyond their petty limitations. They laugh because they cannot see beyond their own small horizons. They mock because they cannot fathom a life lived in the realm of possibility, a life that dares to transcend the confines of mediocrity. What they do not understand is this: your dreams are not theirs to define. The path you walk is not meant for their approval. They will never see the world as you do, nor will they ever be able to comprehend the fire that propels you forward. The moment you allow their scorn to take root in your heart is the moment you begin to shrink, to betray the very essence of your being. And so I say to you, if your ambitions are mocked, if your dreams are belittled, if the very core of your vision is reduced to a punchline, then it is not you who is the fool. It is they. They will not walk your path. They will not carry your burdens. They will not rise to the heights that you will. And when you have surpassed them, when you have become the person they once laughed at, they will be nowhere to be found. The true tragedy is not in having dreams that others cannot understand. It is in allowing them to dictate your worth. If the people around you cannot see the value in your ambition, if they seek to make you feel small for dreaming big, then they do not deserve to walk beside you. Let their words fall away like dead leaves in the wind. Shut the door on those who mock your fire. For the future belongs not to the ones who conform, not to the ones who shrink in fear, but to the ones who dare to dream without shame, without hesitation. When smiles hide coldness, there is a deceit far more dangerous than open hostility. It wears the mask of kindness, the guise of friendship, the sweet and soothing veneer of goodwill. Behind this mask, however, lies a chill that is deeper than any wound inflicted by the sharpest words. It is not the visible enemy you must fear, it is the hidden one, the one who smiles while wielding the dagger, the one who offers warmth only to leave you cold and empty. True malice is often silent. It doesn't shout or scream, it doesn't need to. It lures you with a gentle touch, a comforting word, a soft laugh that hides a heart full of poison. It moves with grace, like a serpent weaving through the grass, leaving behind no trace of its intent. Its cruelty is not immediate, but it is insidious, slow, creeping beneath the surface, eroding trust and hope, until it leaves you standing alone in the frost, wondering how you got there. The danger lies not in the visible enemy, not in the one who makes no secret of their contempt. You can see them coming, you can prepare, you can protect yourself. But the one who smiles at you, who calls you friend while their heart beats in cold indifference, that is the one who will harm you. They know your weaknesses, your desires, your dreams. They use them, not to build you up, but to tear you down when the moment is right. Their kindness is a weapon, wielded with precision, and you, if you are not careful, will be the target. This is the great illusion of the world, that it is easier to spot the enemy who bares its teeth. But it is far more treacherous to recognize the wolf dressed as a sheep, the one who smiles while planning your undoing. It is the false friendliness, the fake warmth, that corrodes the soul, that leaves you questioning whether kindness even exists, whether trust is ever worth giving. So beware of the smile that never reaches the eyes. Beware of the kindness that feels empty, like an echo in a cavern. Because the greatest harm is not in the cruelty you can see, but in the kindness that hides a heart as cold as ice. When you are forced to justify yourself constantly, there is a bitter kind of silence that grows in the space between you and those who refuse to understand you. It's not the silence of contemplation, or the quiet of mutual respect. It is the silence of rejection, the unspoken demand that you prove yourself again and again. Every word that comes from your lips is met with suspicion. Every gesture is dissected, every truth twisted into something else. And so you are left in the exhausting position of defending your very existence, explaining the obvious, offering justifications for your thoughts and actions that should need no explanation at all. This is not a conversation, it is a battle. You are not talking with another mind, you are facing a wall of indifference. A wall that does not want to understand, that does not seek truth, but only finds satisfaction in seeing you crumble under the weight of your own defenses. When you are forced to justify yourself constantly, it is not you who is in the wrong, it is them who refuse to see. They may feign curiosity, they may pretend to seek understanding, but in reality, they are not interested in the truth of who you are. They do not want to hear your reasons, nor do they want to see your perspective. They only want control. They want you to shrink, to question yourself, to believe that you are in the wrong, that your truth is somehow flawed. And when you give in to this constant pressure, when you begin to explain things that need no explanation, you lose a part of yourself. The act of constantly defending yourself is the act of surrendering your power. It is an acknowledgement that you are willing to be shaped by their expectations, by their misunderstandings. But the truth does not need to be defended. It does not need to be justified. It simply is. If the world will not see you for who you are, if your truth is not enough in their eyes, then why continue to explain it? Why waste your energy on those who do not truly wish to know you, but only seek to bend you to their view? To explain the obvious to those who refuse to understand is to give them the power to distort the very essence of who you are. So, take back your voice. Stop justifying. Stop explaining. If your existence, your thoughts, your actions cannot be understood without constant defense, then perhaps it is not you who needs to change. It is them who need to see. And if they cannot see, then let them remain in the darkness of their own ignorance. You owe them no explanation. Your truth, your essence, does not require their approval. When you realize you deserve more, there is a moment in life that arrives without warning, like the first crack of light at dawn. It is the moment when you wake up from a fog of self-doubt and see yourself for who you truly are, not the reflection others have shaped for you, not the person you've been told to become. It is the moment when you no longer tolerate the life you've settled for, when you no longer accept the chains that bind you, the mediocrity that surrounds you. This is the moment when you realize you deserve more. It is an awakening, a thunderous realization that reverberates through your being. It is a revelation that cuts deeper than any wound, for it is the realization that you have been living beneath your potential, beneath your worth. You have tolerated the insults, the compromises, the smallness of the life you've built. And now, with the clarity of vision that only truth can bring, you understand. You are not born to play the part that has been forced upon you. You are born to transcend, to rise, to claim a destiny that reflects your true potential. The moment you realize you deserve more is not just an awakening, it is the beginning of a new life. It is the moment when you stop apologizing for wanting greatness, when you stop shrinking yourself to fit into the narrow spaces others have carved out for you. It is a declaration that you will no longer stay in the shadows, no longer accept the life that others would have you lead. You are not a servant to the expectations of those around you. You are a sovereign, and your life is yours to command. Do not betray yourself by staying in the places that diminish you, by holding on to relationships, jobs, or circumstances that drain you of your energy, your passion, your soul. To remain in the realm of the undeserving is to betray the very core of your being. It is to deny your own greatness, to turn away from the truth that whispers within you. Leave behind the life that stifles you. Walk away from the people who cannot see your worth, from the situations that belittle you. It is not an act of weakness, it is an act of power. To leave is to choose yourself, to choose a future that is shaped by your desires, your potential, your truth. The moment you realize you deserve more is the moment you take the reins of your own destiny. So do not hesitate. Do not look back. Your new life begins now, with the strength of knowing your worth. The world may try to hold you back, to keep you small, but you are destined for greatness. And once you have tasted the truth of your own power, there is no going back. As you stand at the threshold of your own potential, remember this: you are the author of your story. You hold the power to choose when to leave, when to grow, and when to rise. Don't let anyone or anything hold you back from a life you are meant to live. The moment of realization is your freedom. Step into it with courage. May you find the strength to walk away from what no longer serves you, and the wisdom to embrace the future that awaits. Live boldly, live truthfully, and never forget that you are worthy of everything you desire.